Hi, welcome back to another edition of Boxing Predictions. I believe this is number 84. Yeah, anyway, there are a few more interesting fights this weekend than the last one, for sure. And I will start off first with Demetrius Andrade fighting Artur Akavov. Demetrius Andrade is still undefeated, 26-0. But one might argue that he hasn't really had the career that many have expected when he turned pro and when he started knocking out a lot of his opponents. And yeah, so this fight is for just a second. It's for this it's for a world title. Yeah, I just have to find out. It's for WBO middleweight title, which he won Andrade in his last fight in October. So it's not really that long. It's 3 months almost since his last fight, which he won on points against Walter Cautondogua. It's only his third maybe or second middleweight fight, and he still hasn't scored a KO in any of those. Actually, the last time he did score a knockout was in 2016 against Willie Nelson, and that was a 12th round TKO. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think he will score a knockout here, very likely either, but he definitely is the big favorite because he's fighting this guy Akavov from Russia, who hasn't been stopped yet, and he's fought against Billy Joe Saunders, who may not be that hard puncher, but he is a quality fighter and he's stopped a couple good fighters, so he's not feather-fisted either, Saunders. So other than him, Akavov has lost to Oleg Liseyev, but that was long ago, 2012, so he looks more like a technician than a puncher, but he isn't a puncher anyway. He's got 8 KOs and 19 victories. So yeah, I think this will go the distance, and Andrade will win. There is no doubt. I don't think Akavov has a chance at all, unless something, of course, very, very, very unusual should happen. Yeah. So Demetrius Andrade to win by unanimous decision. And then an even better fight, I guess, is Jorge Linares. He's coming back after the defeat to Lomachenko. And this is his first fight after that. And his opponent is a guy that is rather known because he's fought Eric Morales and Shane Mosley, I believe. Pablo Cesar, Cano. But he's not really a elite level fighter. He just is, a decent fighter who's rather, like most Mexicans, a tough, come forward guy, that brawler. So Linares is of course favorite to win, and I think unless the Lomachenko loss has ruined him seriously, which I doubt, but unless he has been, damaged and all that, he should win this pretty easily, I think, and because Cano, he hasn't really fought anyone of notice for some time, and as I said, he never was elite level, and he just was a guy who kind of got the big fights because he was Mexican, and he was I guess a rather entertaining fighter and still is. But yeah, I see now he's been knocked out in 2 rounds by a guy called Marcelino Nicolas Lopez, and he's lost. He was stopped by Fernando Angulo, who is more like a journeyman, just a good journeyman. His best victory, I guess, was against Johan Perez and also Ashley Theophane, who was kind of on the slide already. Yeah, this guy is rather tough, but he's been stopped before and once in 2 rounds, so I think Linares will win this by a 5th-round KO. Yeah, that's my prediction. Linares can still, he's still a really good puncher and a good boxer, of course. And this fight, I guess, is at 140 pounds, so he's moving up in weight, but he's always been a big lightweight, so he's at 5'8" and got a reach of 69 inches, all that. I'm sorry, this was actually not his. This is not his first fight since Lomachenko. This is his second, and he's knocked out Abner Cotto in 3 rounds in his last fight. And Abner Cotto already was a super lightweight, so it means Linares has power also at this weight. So yeah. That's the one. Linares to win by KO 5. And then there's a couple of fights that are kind of interesting, but Bryant Jennings, for instance, versus Oscar Rivas. This is a heavyweight fight, of course, 12 rounds. And Rivas is an undefeated guy. 25-0, a puncher from Colombia, and yeah, I don't know really much about him, but he seems like he's not a really tall guy. He's 6 foot, sorry, almost 6'1", but he does have power, and but he hasn't knocked out or beaten anyone significant yet. And Brian Jennings, he's taller by almost 3 inches and has a very big reach, and he's lost to Luis Ortiz by TKO and also Vladimir Klitschko by UD, but he's had a few good victories, like he stopped Artur Spilka and decision the then undefeated Mike Perez. So I favor Brian Jennings to win this fight, definitely, and unless he should get unlucky and walk into a big punch, I think he will win this on points. Yeah. Okay. Then moving on, the first big fight of this weekend is actually Manny Pacquiao versus Adrian Broner. Yeah, this is a very interesting fight, definitely, and but there are big question marks all around it, and it depends. I really had a hard time picking a result here, because it's so really hard to predict. I mean, which version of Broner will turn up? The guy that has that was so impressive, as a lightweight, and we haven't really seen him since he left that division. He has had a couple, I guess, decent victories, but his attitude is the big problem. I think his ego also. He has obviously, you know, thought that he could just like steamroll over everyone, also at a higher weight, like welterweight and light welterweight. So yeah, and at the same time, Manny Pacquiao is 40 years, of course, of age, and he he did. I mean, he did kind of impress and even surprise me when he beat Jesse Vargas, for instance. Yeah, it's not that I really rate Jesse Vargas as a great, great fighter, but he at least was younger, much younger, and much taller also. And I'm. Well, I mean, Pacquiao really beat him decisively, and then he lost to Jeff Horn, which was a big surprise, of course. And then he stopped Lucas Matisse, but of course Matisse is no longer what he used to be, so you can never tell. I mean, Broner is of course much younger, only 29, and he doesn't have much of height advantage, but I think his reach is a bit bigger. Yeah, 2 inches. But he's not the kind of fighter that uses these advantages. No, and he also drew against Jesse Vargas in his last fight. He lost to. He stopped Khabib Alakverdi. That was his last impressive performance in 2015 when he won WBA super lightweight title. So, I mean, I kind of still lean towards Pacquiao, and just because he hasn't really been really since the Marquez fight when he was knocked out. He hasn't since been really humble. I mean, really beaten down to size. And Mayweather fight, we all know what was that. It was just bullshit. So I kind of lean. I mean, on Pacquiao winning, but it will be, I think, very close and very tough fight. I mean, Broner even has a slight chance of pulling off a knockout victory, but but I still kind of lean towards Manny to win, but like by a split decision or something. Yeah. Okay, I've said enough about that now. Still have one more fight to cover, and that's Badou Jack versus Marcus Browne. A really good fight, perhaps the best one of this weekend actually. That's why I saved it for last. Yes, this is a fight between a puncher, which is Marcus Browne, and a boxer, which is Badou Jack. I mean, I'm not going to talk about their respective records or anything. That's not really so important. I think I may do that too much, perhaps even. I mean, I happen to know a lot of enough about both of these guys, and Browne has underperformed a couple times, like against Radivoj Kalajic, and he should have lost that fight definitely, but he's still undefeated on paper anyway, and he can punch definitely. While Badou Jack, he's more like a boxer and who can stop you if he lands enough punches, like if he constantly tags you and hurts you enough, and but he's not the guy that can really decided, like you know, just with a few punches. End it, I mean, and but he's still, I think, a better fighter all around than Browne. So yeah, even though Browne has a puncher's chance, of course, but Badujak, yeah, he was taken out once. That's something worth mentioning. But it was kind of quite long ago now. It was just one of these cases. I mean, before he really, came of age as a fighter and started winning and won his first world title. So that happened, that was a learning process. He was taken out in one round by a big puncher. So of course it can happen here too, but I doubt it. I think Badu will win this fight definitely, and but it will go the distance very likely, since he's not really a guy that usually, except for cleverly fight, of course, he's not a guy that usually wins the big fights with a stoppage. Yeah. So Badu Jack to win 1 points. Okay, that was all for this time. See you until the next time. Bye bye.